What's up, ladies and gents, Ghost here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new China Rising DLC. So these are my super first impressions. I've had a few rounds on each of the maps, and some of them seem quite familiar, some of them not so much, and I've got to say I have mixed feelings about them. Two of them are pretty damn nice, the other two are a bit kind of meh, shall we say. So the first one we're looking at here is Altai Range, and as you can see, it's a pretty wide open map. There is a little bit of cover, there are some rocks around certain points, but it's essentially this huge valley, and you'll have the three of your conquest flags on one side of the valley, and the enemy team has three of theirs on the other, and then you have D here, which is sort of in the middle, and it's up on a high peak. And I have to say that a D point in Conquest is definitely one of my favourite points to capture. It seems to be that all the other flag points don't really have much places to hide. There's maybe some tiny little wooden hut that can easily be destroyed by a vehicle, and that's about it. Apart from that, you're out in the open, but D flag is quite interesting. It's up on this peak, as you can see. I believe it's a weather station, so you can actually go inside the building up here. You can work your way up. There's bollards on the outside of it, so you can drive up with vehicles, and if you want to put up the bollards, you can stop them from getting in there. Once you get inside the building, you can then work your way up the staircase to the top, and there is a little sniper's den, as it were. And obviously from up here you can see all around the entire battlefield, so this is a really nice place for a sniper. Now, one of the things they've added in China Rising is the bomber, and there you can see where you actually deploy the bomber from. So you need to have control of D flag in order to use the bomber. You then, I assume, press E on that little hut there, and that's how you remote control the bomber. Now, I have to say that this was a bit of a letdown, to be honest with you. I thought the bomber was going to be essentially like an attack jet with JDAM bombs, but really huge ones. So you could control it just like you could a jet, but you would be in this like huge, massive plane, and you would be able to drop much bigger bombs. And you would have like a limited supply, so it wouldn't be overpowered, but you would be able to, you know, essentially fly anywhere. So that is not the case. It's essentially just goes on rails in a straight line across the middle of the map. So imagine it's like an AC-130 where you can sit in the gunner's seat and use the weaponry, but you can't control it in any way. Whereas opposed to the AC-130 goes around in a circle and it continues to do so, the bomber just goes across in a linear manner one time only. And when you're in there, all you get is 3 JDAM bombs and 1 cruise missile. And whilst the cruise missile is pretty nice, the JDAM bombs kind of suck, especially since you're so up high in the bomber. A JDAM bomb takes probably a full 5 seconds to hit the ground. So stealth bomber, a little bit of a letdown. I suppose it's more of a gimmicky little thing. They did toy around apparently with letting it be free control so you could fly around everywhere, but I suppose they've decided to make it just sort of a quick bit of entertainment. So you get in the stealth bomber, it makes one pass over, you see if you can sort of take anybody out with the JDAM bombs or with the cruise missile, and then you're done. You get back into playing infantry, or you get back into your vehicular play. Now, something that makes this map quite interesting is the vehicular play. This thing is just littered with IFVs. I think I have never seen so many IFVs on one single map. And as you can see, since the map is like so open, you can essentially see all the enemy vehicles coming down into the middle of the valley from far away. So if you're a good shot with a tow missile or a tank shell, you're easily able to take people out. Although this also has a flip side to it. As you can see here, I'm getting locked on. The only way I have to get away from this lock-on if I don't have my countermeasures is just to back up. There really isn't any cover that I can hide behind. There's no skyscrapers, nothing like that. So I'm just like backing up like a maniac here, and I do manage to lose that lock-on. But you're pretty much out in the open if you're in a vehicle. Everybody's going to be able to see you. Anyone with a lock-on weapon is going to be able to target you, and anyone with a tank or an IFV who's a good shot across the other side of the valley is going to be taking pot shots at you as well. Alright, so moving on, next up we have Guilin Peaks. It's a bit of speculation as to what is the correct way to actually say this name. I've heard Guilin Peaks, I've heard Guilin Peaks, I don't even know, man. I mean, I'm not Chinese, so I'm going to take a stab in the dark and go with Guilin Peaks. I reckon that's how I would say it if I was Chinese, but in any case, this map is pretty awesome. In my opinion, one of the better ones. At the moment, I'm playing Obliteration here in the background, and it is insane. There is essentially this central middle mountain, and it's all hollowed out, so there are a lot of different cave systems inside, so you can sort of be fighting inside there, and that is always where the bomb will spawn. And then around the outside we have all of the bomb objectives. And something I found a little bit surprising for Obliteration is that what would normally be the parachute spawn point, so where you would sort of parachute in and it would take you a while to get to the ground, is just now an instant spawn point right at the center of the map, right where the bomb spawns. So you have a situation where there are allies and enemies spawning to the left, to the right of you, behind you, and in front of you all the time, and it is just a slugfest in the middle of this mountain. There aren't really many vehicles to speak of, at least not in obliteration mode. There's one transport heli, you get a few quad bikes on the outsides, or sort of on the outskirts of the map. And the bomb is going to spawn in the middle, so at the moment here we're trying to grab the bomb, fight everyone off it, and once you get the bomb, you really want to get out of the middle of that mountain ASAP, because as I mentioned before, you're probably going to get killed a number of times if you stay in there for any amount of time. But I really enjoy this map. I've yet to try it out on all of the game modes, but for obliteration it was pretty damn fun, man, as you can see. Alright, next we've got Dragon's Pass, and this is definitely my other favourite map. This one is really fun. I'm playing Conquest Large here, and I jumped straight away here in the attack chopper. This was literally my very first piece of footage from this map, and it's apparent to me straight from the get-go that this is an awesome map for flying helicopters on. It really reminds me in a way of Siege of Shanghai, and I know what you're thinking, Ghost, this looks nothing like Siege of Shanghai, but when I first played the beta and we were in helis and we were sort of weaving in and out of those skyscrapers, using them as cover, using them to lose those lock-ons and stuff, this map reminds me a lot of that. There are so many mountainous peaks here coming up, you can sort of weave in and out of those, even though they're pretty widely spaced, and use them to get rid of some of those lock-ons in the helis. Now, I have no doubt that this is going to become one of the best Conquest maps. It's definitely one of my favourites so far, and I've only played a few rounds on it. Now, most of the capture points here are sort of shoddy huts that they can easily be destroyed. They're pretty much made with a bit of corrugated iron and straw as far as I can see, so there's not much cover on those from the vehicles. You will get one attack heli on this map. You'll also get a scout heli and a number of tanks and IFVs. But there's also water, so there's a river weaving its way in and out of this map, and there are rib boats that you can spawn in and use those to get from one place to another. There are also PWCs, i.e. personal watercrafts, and here you can see me utilising this mountain to get rid of a lock-on. Unfortunately, I got rid of one lock-on there and got locked on from the other direction by somebody else, so down I go. But one of the most interesting things on this map, if you look at the layout, is that it's extremely long. It's not like a round map, so it's not easy to flank around and sort of backrage somebody. You take a map like Siege of Shanghai, for example, it's so easy to cut across the water and backcap the enemy's flag. That happens all the time. I think in this game I'm playing here, we never actually ever get G point because it's out in that little corner. You can see it's so well defended, it's almost impossible to get in there. So, you know, as it comes to flanking around this map, you really can't do it all that well. You maybe can in the heli, but if you're in a vehicle or you're on foot, it's pretty difficult. You can use the waterways to sort of get quite far downriver and backcap a little bit, but for the most part, this is one of the hardest maps so far to backcap people on. Now, I have to say that these waterways definitely provide some epic moments. Every single Conquest flag seems to be surrounded by the water in some way, so you're going to find people sort of sneaking up out of the water like a snake in the grass, and they're going to be down on the edge of the Conquest point when you're not even expecting it. And I really like this. It makes for some more sort of epic battles in the middle. For the most part, you're going to see in this game here, there's a guy taking B at the moment, but we're pretty much going to have A, B, and C, and they are going to keep G, F, and E, and we're going to be fighting over D a lot, pushing up into E, and I gotta say, guys, this map is just awesome. Like, what more can I say? Try it out for yourself if you haven't already. So here we are on the fourth and final map. This one is called Silk Road. It has a lot of similarities to Bandar Desert in my opinion, but there's a lot of geometrical differences. As you can see here, as I fly over, there are a lot of these sand ridges, and they make for some interesting motorbike stunt ridges. This is very different from the other side of the map, however. If you see here, farther away in the distance, on that side of the map there are a lot of sand dunes, so that again, interesting for motorbike stuff, also for tank battles. Now, I really like this map quite a lot as well. I wouldn't say that it's one of my favourites, but that doesn't mean in any way that it's bad. I said before that it reminded me of Bandar Desert. Now, I didn't particularly like Bandar Desert very much, but that was because I didn't find it a particularly interesting map. In my opinion, it was pretty much just a flat desert, and if you ever played the Tank Superiority game mode on that map, for me, it was pretty boring, man. I really couldn't get a more boring game mode mixed up with a more boring map, but this is kind of like Bandar Desert Plus for me. It's a lot better than Bandar Desert was, and I really like the differences in the levels. So on the Chinese side, as I said before, there are all these huge ridges there that you can weave in and out of, and I'm playing some Obliteration, and you'll see I'm able to use those ridges there to just get away with the bomb and go and get a plant off in a little bit. Of course, if you're playing in Conquest Large, this map is going to be much bigger, and the objectives are going to be all over everywhere, but for Obliteration, the barracks in the middle is where the bomb spawns, and this makes for a very interesting place to fight around. There are lots of bits of concrete in there for you to fight around, duck, and take cover. There are some little watchtowers, there are even the barracks buildings themselves that you can get inside of, and it makes for some fun little infantry-based gameplay in the middle there. Now, I haven't tried out every game mode on every map, but there doesn't seem to be any jets on this one, so you get a scout heli. No attack heli here in Obliteration, only a scout heli, I think one tank and one IFV. It does surprise me a little bit that they haven't had any attack jets on any of the maps so far. Like I said, I haven't tried all the game modes, so don't quote me on that, but so far I haven't seen an attack jet. So that's a little bit of a letdown for me because, you know, I like me jets, what can I say? But all in all, I have to say that I like all the maps in the expansion. I like this one quite a lot as well, even though it may not be one of my favourites. There are currently no other maps in the game with these sort of desert tile set at the moment, so it makes for a nice change of scenery. Now, there has been a few little strange bugs in the China Rising DLC. If you've subscribed to X-Factor's channel, you've probably seen he's posted some up, and here you can see I'm actually posting some from Guilin Peaks. As you saw there, I sort of tried to shoot that guy over that piece of cover, and it was if the cover was higher than it is actually represented in-game. So that's a little bit strange. They've definitely got to fix that. As for performance in China Rising DLC, as you can see, I'm getting pretty nice performance at the moment. In fact, I would say that it's a lot better than some of the original maps. For some reason, a lot of the original maps, certain maps, like Hainan Resort, Siege of Shanghai, you will get lower frames there than you will in a lot of the other maps. But for the China Rising DLC, I seem to be getting similar frames in all the maps, and they're pretty comparable to some of the best frames per second that I'm getting in the original maps of Battlefield 4. So there you go, guys, that's been my first little look at some of these maps. Of course, this is just first impressions. I haven't had a chance to try out all the different game modes on all different sizes and all of that. So, you know, don't take my word for everything. I will be bringing some more in-depth guides for some of the maps in BF4 in the coming future. That's a little planned series. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the DLC so far, if you actually have premium and you've got the early access. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, maybe you can do us a favour, give us a thumbs up down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.